Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello, and a very warm welcome to you for joining me on this very exciting program. We have viewers joining me today from around the world, and I'd love to know where you are right now. So please do share your city or country in the chat, and let's get to know more about you. Now, it is my absolute privilege to be hosting this program that is brought to you live by the ASG, and I'm delighted to tell you that this is, in fact, our inaugural program to launch a Conversation with series, where we hope to spend some time getting to know our main guest with an opportunity for you, the viewers, to also join in and ask some of your questions. My main guest today is a remarkable individual that has been very diligently and with enormous passion, drive, and commitment, preserving a rich history in Ginans. In the course of this program, we will bring you some fine renditions of some of the work our guest has been documenting over the last 30 years. It is my humble honor to welcome all the way from Edmonton, Canada, Arzina Mirali. Arzina, welcome.
Thank you, Najish, for that introduction. I appreciate ASG organizing the event, and I look forward to having the conversation with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Arzina. Now, Arzina, if we were having this conversation face to face, I'd be asking you how your flight was. But with the power of modern technology, I will assume your journey here wasn't too bad at all.
No, it was from one room to the other.
Good to know. Good to know. Now, Arzina, before we dive right into your lifelong work with Ginans, will you share with us a little about yourself, perhaps your family and your profession?
Yeah, in terms of my work, I have been gainfully employed for very many years, but and I retired in 2014. And prior to that, for 10 years, I was the general manager at a digitizing company called Accurate Data Services. And 25 years prior to that, I worked with the Alberta government in various capacities. I was first a production control supervisor and then moved on to being a systems analyst for supporting software on the mainframe, not the PC.
My goodness. Wow, what a CV there. And I wasn't expecting that. I thought you may have some religious education background or some academia, but clearly not. So this is all purely your hobby and your passion that we're going to be hearing about. I'm sure Amr and Alim are superbly proud of you. But I'd love to know more about your youthful years and what you were being exposed to that perhaps sparked your interest in this aspect, specifically recitations and research in Ginans.
My youthful years was a very long time ago. I went to the Aga Khan Primary School in Kampala for 6 years and the Aga Khan Girls School in Dar es Salaam for 2 years. At both these schools, religious education was part and parcel of the curriculum, and we were taught Ginans. And then I went to St. Joseph's Convent Secondary School in Dar es Salaam. There, what happened is every Friday, the Catholic students would go for Mass, and an Ismaili teacher would come and teach us Ginans. However, I did not recite Ginans then, and I do not recite Ginans now.
Gosh, how intriguing. So your passion actually bypasses the whole recitation and it's more academic. So that's fascinating for us to hear. And what a diverse and rich education you've had as well in your secular years. So thank you for sharing that. Well, look, let's dive in to a period which is starting from 1997. I know for some of our viewers that will be some way back. So to help you recall the year 97, a bit of fun trivia. Titanic, the movie, first appeared in our cinemas in that year, and Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was published here in the UK. And for those sporting enthusiasts, Martina Hingis and Pete Sampras were Wimbledon champions that year. Now, whilst Arzina, you were having your first opportunity to really intellectually deliver and contribute towards this rich tradition, What were the challenges you were facing? And I wonder if you could share that with us.
Yes, in 1997, there was very many challenges. In the technical environment, the music industry was moving from cassettes to CDs. The software was moving from diskettes to CDs. And when I started to work with CDs, there was very many challenges because the CD writers were slow, they were expensive. The CD media was expensive, like a CD would cost $14 to $16 at that time, whereas now it's probably a few cents or not worth anything anymore. And the software for sound editing, the software for mastering the CD were all in their primitive stages. So that was a challenge, and the learning curve was steep. I had not worked with sound editing or or mastering of a CD prior to that, so it was quite a steep learning curve. In terms of the subject matter, there was also some difficulties. First of all, the reciters would sometimes come to record, and the first question, even before entering the door, would be, "Are we allowed to do this?" And my answer was, if you're sitting at home, recording on a cassette, sharing it with friends and family, as was the practice at that time, you're fine with it. How is it different to record in a digital media and then share with friends and family? So once they were at ease, they, didn't think they were doing anything wrong or illegal or whatever was in their mind. The second challenge was they would come with lyrics in their black books, and they were not often totally verified lyrics. So the challenge was to get lyrics for them in the language of their choice, which in some cases was Khojki, in some cases Gujarati, in some cases English. So those were the kind of challenges at that time.
Okay, so I love how you describe handling the concerns of those who are coming to record. I guess from that, what I'd love to know is who was actually steering your path and your vision on this? Or would you say you're a pioneer at this time? What was going on in day-to-day life that was steering you down this path?
I'd like to think I was the pioneer. There was nobody really steering my path. It was something that, in some thoughts one day I said, what can I do to help community members without actually going out of my home to meetings and, spending time on travel time and getting frustrated. So I was looking for something to do that could help community members, and at the same time do it from the comfort of my time or my home.
Great. Okay. So that's how you're starting off in this. Let's move another 10 years. And as we're approaching 2007 now, technology has become pretty advanced in the decade leading up to this. Mobile technology is massively taking off. File sharing via the internet, transferring data through multimedia platforms is happening. I mean, for our viewers, this was the same year, 2007, when the first iPhone was released. And I wonder how many of our viewers actually remember that year. How are you keeping up to date with these advances, adopting them in your ongoing work? How are you deciding what's best for the future preservation? And how is your work being received and reviewed or even published, getting out there?
So, Najish, before I get there, in terms of the previous question, when I produced the first CD, which is Ilme Noor, Volume 1, and the recordings were of Shabnam Merali, there was a lot of buzz and excitement. And when late Alvayez Amir Ali Amlani came to visit me, I played the CD and he just couldn't believe the quality of the sound. His ears were just to the CD. And from there on, he did help me with lyrics in all three languages when needed. And he also helped in verifying that what we were recording was truly Ginan's and not somebody's compositions from their black books. So I miss that, but miss telling you about that. But going to your next question, I'd like to share a slide, and give me 1 second to share the screen.
Sure,
And
absolutely. And yeah, I don't think you're missing anything. I think you're just whetting our appetite.
okay, so what was published, at about 2007 was a collection that I called Ginan Mefil, or Mefil Ginan. And as you can see from the slide, the one in green at the bottom was in audio format. And then I went on to the CDs that were in MP3 format. And then I went into putting it onto a USB key in MP3 format. So you can see that I have kept up with the media as we went along, and uh, and and keeping in mind that the best ways for youths and other members to access would be to have the availability of different formats. Some people might still be playing audio CDs, but most people have moved to USB keys. Have I covered what you were asking me?
Yeah, I believe you have, and I think just testament to you adopting these new methods. Your passion is Ginan's. Your professional life is nothing to do with working with digital media, and the fact that you're learning this on the fly whilst having to document all of this is fascinating. I'm sure for our viewers to see how you're upskilling at the same time. I suppose then moving to sort of the next period between 2008 and 2016. Tell us what you've researched by then, and what further publications have come out from this period.
So that period has been the most exciting for me, actually, because by then, I was very conversant with the technology. My productions were turning out a lot faster. Um, and I retired in 2014, but about 2012, yeah, I think it was 2012 that Professor Ali Asani introduced me to Dr. Karim Tharani of Ginan Central. And I started engaging with the site, and then with consent, I shared the collections with Ginan Central, or with Dr. Karim Tharani. And so that is another way of keeping up, going from the distribution of CDs and USB keys. Now it's online and in a ways that anyone can access. So we've really made huge gains in access. Now, in the latter part of that time, after I engaged with Ginan Central, and after I became more aware of, everything that's out there for Ginans, I started to focus on three areas. The first one is low coverage, and by low coverage is what I mean is uncommon Ginans.
Right.
It could be very geographical. What I think is uncommon may be very common at your end, a continent away. So in addressing that, we are about to hear recitation of Ginan called Mandav Viva Man Kari. It is a category of a Viva Ginan or a Dol Ginan. There is three such Ginans, the other ones being Kanak Nakanchola. Both these are by Pir Satgur Nur. And then the third one, Dol Mangave, is an unpublished Ginan, and it's by Pir Sadruddin. But all of them have the same theme. It's of a reunion, the imagery is of a wedding, and there is the sounding of the dol.
Well, you've certainly whet our appetite on that, and we do have our first reciter. I'd love to introduce Karim Borja to you all the way from Calgary, Canada, who will recite this for us.
Ke jhire veera mandev viva mane kari mahal jo ke jhire veera manna maniya murtada मेहरबान रे विवा रे आविया ढूकड़ा के झीरे वीरा जोशीड़ा तेरा वो जंपू दीपना के झीरे वीरा पुस्तक जोशे पूनम केरा चांद रे विवा रे आविया ढूकड़ा के झीरे वीरा जानने उतारा चंपू दीप मां के झीरे वीरा मलिया छे कल्पना करोड़ रे विवा रे आविया ढूकड़ा के झीरे वीरा दोणीड़ाते लावो धर्म जाड़वे के झीरे वीरा मनिया छे अनंत करोड़ ने विवा ने आविया ढूकड़ा के झीरे वीरा चोरी चितरावो नवला रंगनी के झीरे वीरा परणे छे विषव कुआर रे विवा रे आविया ढूकड़ा के झीरे वीरा विश्व कुमारी ना वरे वाचिए के झीरे वीरा जाने उभो गोकुळे मागे लो कान रे विवाने आविया ढूकड़ा ये झीरे वीरानूर सतगुर एम बोलिया के झीरे वीरा गुर ब्रह्मा जी बोलिया छे ढोल रे विवा रे आविया ढूकड़ा.
A wonderful recital there from Karim Borja, all the way from Calgary, Canada. Thank you so much. And I'm so pleased we were able to get you off mute, Karim, so we could actually all hear your wonderful voice. I'm sure you've seen some of the comments on the chat with lots of compliments and love for you there.
Thank you very much.
Arzina, moving forward, you mentioned that there were 3 focus areas. We've heard one of the focus areas for your work, which was the Ginans that were not so common that you're aware of. What was the next category that you've been focusing on? What can you tell us about that, please?
Yeah, my next focus is, or in conjunction, my focus is with grants. Now, grants are titled Ginans. Example, Buj Nirinjan, Saloko Moto, Saloko Nano, Anantakaro, Moment Chitamni, etc. Some people say grants are long forms of Ginans, but grants actually can be very short, like Arad or Brahm Kavantri, and they can be long. They can, like Moment Chitamni, Anantakaro, etc. Grants can be published or they can be unpublished, and we'll go to the definition on unpublished at a later time when we focus on the third category. An example of an unpublished granth is Parav no Panvo, or Pandav no Parav, sorry. And there is another one, Satgur Jo Saloko. And granths can be in verse form or can be in prose. Example of prose form would be Arad, Brahm Gavantri, etc. And the verse forms are what we hear, like Saloko Moto, Saloko Nano, Moment Chitamni, etc. Now, there is, within grunts, there can be, besides the prose and the verse, there is one grunt, Solthal, which is a mixture of both prose as well as Ginans. I think there's 16 Ginans within that grunt, and there's a lot of prose in that grunt. There is also sometimes people would call a collection of Ginans as a grunt. Example, the 15 Gugri Ginans are considered as by some definition as a grunt, or the 28 Gardi Ginans, which people are maybe quite familiar with. So altogether, they would form the grunt. Now, with grunts, there is a lot of challenge in recording because they are long. You need a reciter that can sustain recording for many, many hours, sometimes over very many months. And the other big challenge is to have the lyrics in English. And what has happened is there's been a few people transliterating. A majority of the grunts have been transliterated by Mukhi Platinum Remtula, and some have been transliterated by Sheria Riakatali and some by Alijan Damani. And altogether, we now have a rich collection of grunts in English. When I went through the Ginan Master Index at Ginan Central to see how many grunts there is, I found about 76 six titles listed as grunts. And I have recorded the reciters have recorded, and I have produced in entirety about 44 grunts, I think, out of the 76. There's lots more to go, and they're getting longer. So, it will keep me occupied for a while. And inshallah, we'll be able to achieve all of them. So we are about to hear a grant called Chandraban. It is by Pir Shamash. It has got 50 verses, and Chandraban means moon face, and it suggests that Chandraban is a beautiful and radiant being like the moon. Chandraban seems to be a devotee or spiritual seeker who plays a significant role in the narrative of this Ginan. The verse we are about to hear is the first verse of Chandraban.
Thank you, Arzina, so much for explaining that so eloquently to us. I'm amazed at the level of depth that grunts go to, and the one that we're going to hear, I'm not sure if we'll get to hear all 50 verses. I would gladly listen, and I'm sure most of our viewers would as well if we do. But introducing the grunt to be recited will be Tawfiq Karmali. Over to you, Tawfiq.
Thank you. Pehla naam Allah ka लीजिए रे भाई पहला नाम Allah ka लीजिए दूजा कलमा मुहम्मद का कीजिए रे भाई दूजा कलमा मुहम्मद का कीजिए अल्लाह मुहम्मद एक बनी रे भाई अल्लाह मुहम्मद एक बनी गुरनर गतमा नीतो नित मिली रे भाई गुरनर गतमा नितो नित मिली ज्ञान गुरनर तना सुनी रे भाई ज्ञान गुरनर तना सुनी पीर शाह नाम नितो नीत जपी रे बाई पीर शाह नाम नितो नीत जपी साचा नाम नबी किला रे भाई साचा नाम नबी खिलावे तब शाह का दर्शन पावे रे भाई तब शाह का दर्शन पावे दिल अपनी शाह सू लावे रे भाई दिल अपनी शाह सू लावे साचा साहेब सू नेह आवे रे भाई साचा साहेब सू नेह आवे रे तुही मारा साचा साइया पियूं जी तुही शाह सुने है लाए बाई शाह सुने लाई अने मुहम्मद मानो साचरे भाई मुहम्मद मानो साच चित मन एक करो बाई चित मन एक करो तो दर्शन देवे आप रे बाई दर्शन देवे आप
Thank you so much, Tawfiq, for that splendid rendition there of another Granth there. I'm sure you'll see the comments coming through our viewers who've really appreciated your voice there. Thank you again. Just before we move on, if the viewers do have any questions, feel free to pop them into the chat. We'll look to pick them up towards the end, where we do have a Q&A with Arzina. So just a reminder that you can put some questions there and we'll pick them up. Arzina, we've heard two of your focus areas with the work that you've done in the uncommon and the grunts. What's been the third area of work that you've covered and that you'd like to tell us about?
The third area is unpublished Ginans and grants. And by one definition, an unpublished work is not in printed press form, and published work should be by an authorized person or authorized associations. So work that's considered published would be, for example, the works of Mukhilalji Devraj, the works of Recreation Club, Ismailia Association, ITREB, etc. By that definition, the work of Ghulamsen Aladdin is not considered published because his was not in press form, it was in litho. So by that definition, it's not considered published. In working with unpublished Ginans, there is again challenges. It's not been easy because the unpublished Ginans are found in manuscripts, and these are often handwritten, not often, always handwritten, and they can be in different languages, and different time periods had different ways of writing those languages. And so the first task is to have them transliterated into English. Generally, we're doing that into English. And it does take skills, it does take a long time, but there is a few people working on the transliterations. And, one may ask about how many unpublished Ginans. I think I've come across something like 50 to 100 of them. Not all of them have been transliterated yet. It's just very few that have been done. And usually they should be evidence-based. They should be found in manuscripts which also have other Ginans. So that's about unpublished Ginans and grants. The second challenge there is putting a tune, because these were not available before, or they were available in a form that people could not access. So that also requires a lot of skills. And somebody like Alnur Saleh can take a look at the text of the unpublished Ginan, and he would see how many lines in the verse, who is the peer, what is the theme of the Ginan, and then put a tune to it. And then he would run it by a few people and see if it's a fitting tune or rag, if it's reasonable. And then he goes on to record it. So he has done a lot of work on the unpublished Ginans. He's been very helpful in and patient in putting the tunes, etc. So soon the unpublished Ginan you're gonna hear, it's Mola Nurse Sahi Navdan of Sharia. The Ginan is by Bir Hassan Kabirdin, and it honors the arrival of the Mola with the resonating sound of the drum. It depicts a mystical journey through various lands, including Iraq and China, specifically referencing the display of divine power in Mulistan.
Thank you, Rosina. And as you said, this recitation, which covers the unpublished Ginans, this will now be recited by Alnur himself, Alnur Saleh, joining us from Edmonton, Canada. Alner, before you start, Arzina, I can see you've definitely come with the A team today from North America, with the recitations we've had. So we're definitely blown away. Alner, over to you.
Okay, thank you. Mola Nur Shah Sahi Navadanav Chediya Das mein Chedan Bale Aya Ji दस में छेदड़ बाले आया जी मौला नूर शाह साईं ए जी शाह का जे शाह का बलवाजे मौला नूर शाह चढ़ से शेस्त्र पखान जोर लाया जी मौला नूर शाह चढ़ से शेस्त्र पखान जोर लाया जी मौला नूर शाह साईं हे जी काना चलत किया काना चलत किया सगे गोवर खेलो सोरसो गोपियों साज चाले जी सगे गोवर खेलो सोरसो गोपियों साज चाले जी भोला नूर शाह साईं हे जी इराक खंडे इराक खंडे हे जी इराक खंडे इराक खंडे घर में दी दिखलाया सो पीर में दिखलाया जी घर मेहदी दिखलाया सो पीर में दिखलाया जी मौला नूर शाह साईं हे जी कोई काचिना बनगरी कोई काचिना बनगरी ते माहे दैंत बुलाणो शाह से वाड चलाए यूं जी ते माहे दैंत बुलाणो शाह से वाड चलाए यूं जी मौला नूर शाह साईं ए जी बोली सुरजा रानी बोली सुरजा रानी जेणे दे शिखामण जेणे दे बताई जेणे दे शिखामण जेणे देही बताई मौला नूर शाह साईं हे जी शाह जे नाले शाहजनले नाणिये शाहजनले ते कोई नवाणिया तू के मदैत बुलाने जी शाहजनले ते कोई नवाणिया तू के मदैत बुलाने जी मौला नूर शाह साईं ए जी कोई कमीला चमले कोई कमीला चमड़े बोरी सुरजा रानी जे सिर कारिंगो दीवान जी बोरी सुरजा रानी जे सिर कारिंगो दीवान जी मौला नूर शाह साईं ए जी आरे कायम गत कर कायम गत करूं ए जी आरे कायम गत कर कायम गत करो घर डली माए बैसो लड़ेंगो शेर मैदान जी घर डली माए बैसो लड़ेंगो शेर मैदान जी मौला नूर शाह साईं ए जी मुलस्तान नगरी मुलस्तान नगरी मौला तख्त जो बैठा लड़ से शेर मैदान ए जी मौला तख्त जो बैठा लड़ से शेर मैदान जी मौला नूर शाह साईं ए जी नर नूर शाह चढ़ से नर नूर शाह चढ़ से गुप्त पीर हसन शाह ही जुग पीर फरमाए यूं जी गुप्त पीर हसन शाह ही जुग पीर फरमाए यूं जी मौला नूर शाह साईं नव दानव छेदिया 10 में छेदन भले आया जी 10 में छेदन भले आया जी मौला नूर शाह साईं
Alnor, thank you so much for such a splendid rendition. We've had some beautiful comments coming in onto the chat, so thank you so much again. Erzina, we've had a chance to learn and to listen to each of the 3 areas of your particular focus, and I think I can start to appreciate why you were so excited to talk about 2008, 2016 as one of the most exciting times for you. We've had a chance to meet some of the reciters. I would like to ask you, you've been doing this work for now 30 years, but how big is your team? You started off as a pioneer, you were doing this on your own. It's been infectious. People have gravitated towards this work with you. How are you managing and coordinating this effort? And yeah, how big is this team that you're working with? You're on mute, Arzina. There we are.
Sorry. So officially, I have no team. Unofficially, my team is very large, and I will tell you who all I consider my team. First of all the reciters, and there's very many of those. Then the people who help me with the transliterations, like Mukhi Platinum Ramtula, Salman Prasla, Shehryar Liaqat Ali Jandamani. And then I would also consider my team as the resources that are available that helps us to do some of this work. There is recitals of the ITREB Ginan group at Ginan Central, and that allows us to see what rags have been established, and at that site there is also the lyrics in commons that people have transliterated. Then there is the technical helpers like Len Zhao, Jean Taylor, Ali Badur, and they have helped, whenever I get stuck with the technology side of things, and for graphics designing, because initially, before the USB times, I used to have, something put onto the CD faces and the booklets and stuff like that. There's people who've helped to name the collections. So I didn't come up with the names of Mehfil Ginan, Diwan Granth by myself. There was people that helped me name them. And honestly, I think the team is all global. People are in different parts of the world, different continents. They contribute in different ways, and that has helped me to make this collection. Perhaps I will share the screen to show what the collection is at. Is that okay, Rajesh?
Yeah, I was just going to add that your 30 years of service to this, there'll be numerous volunteers, right, that you've been working with.
Yeah.
And so it's nice that you can recall some of them and mention them, but yeah, many unnamed, unsung heroes as well. And thanks to all of them.
If you look at the slide, there's been a few collections. They're all available at Ginan Central, and they can be accessed quite methodically and quite easily. So Darya-e-Noor is a collection of 60 Ginans or 60 tracks. Then there is Diwan-e-Granth, which captures Granths in entirety. So it's not selected verses, it's all in entirety, and it has probably about 44 Granths or so. There is not on this slide, but on the previous slide, there was the Soneri Rivayat collection, which is 50 Ginans. That particular one was recorded mostly in India when I was on one of my travels there, and the USB key, the one on the bottom right, it has all these compilations or all these collections onto that one key, except for the Granths. It couldn't fit onto that key, so we moved the Granths to Diwan-e-Granth. So one special collection I would like to mention, it's actually a compilation called Talim-e-Ginan. And in that, if you see the two books published by ITREP Canada, the green volume 1 and the orange volume 2. Each one of them has 100 Ginans. And in this compilation of Talime Ginan, all 200 Ginans are captured with the audio from all 200 Ginans is captured. And I think it's a good learning tool because, you can have the book, the lyrics in front of you, the audio, and I think it would be a very useful compilation. It's very close to my heart, that particular collection.
How are you going about ensuring that the publications are reaching far and wide? You're there in North America. How are members of different communities able to access this elsewhere, become aware that these publications exist?
Yeah, so the reciters themselves do a little bit of a distribution to their friends and families. And then, there's from every single copy, there is maybe 50 virtual copies. So it's spread far and wide. I, gift some of the collections to people who request them. And then they're also online, so people can access them. And the good thing about all the technology and all the help we have, they're being preserved. Myself, I have them preserved in a cloud, in a Dropbox form, and USB keys and CDs and other media. And then Ginan Central preserves them and makes them available online as well. So the collections have reached far and wide. Every continent, I think, Australia, UK, North America, United States. I have, many people say when they're entering Jamaat Khana before prayer time, they hear the CDs playing. Before funerals, sometimes the CDs are playing. And they're also found at people's bedside in hospitals and stuff like that. So I think they're reaching far and wide. I do get a lot of positive comments. And so as people listen and become aware of it and want to know where to find it, etc., I do get messages.
I'm not at all surprised by you receiving positive comments. Indeed, I'm sure many of our viewers are in awe of this work and what you're sharing with us. I would ask, though, in addition to volunteers and those who recite with you and carry out this work with you, are there any institutions, any academic institutions that have come on board to assist, to join this journey from a more academic background that you could perhaps tell us about?
Actually, my focus is recitals and recording of the recitals. And I generally, do not coordinate with academics or so. But the one body that I do coordinate with and use a lot of resources from is, you've guessed it, Ginan Central. And I do volunteer in some aspects for Ginan Central, and I learn more and more from that association. So I guess that's about as academic as it can get.
Okay, thank you. And I guess the material that you're moving on to, what's next? What new material is going to be going out there? I think you touched on it by talking about unpublished Ginans and some work on grunts, but perhaps you can tell us more about what specifically is going to be going out and when.
Yeah, I will share screen again. And but I'm very excited with this particular collection that's being prepared. It's going to be called Khazana-e-Ilm, and it's a Sharia Liaqat-Ali collection, is the name that we're going to give to it. because Sharia has been very involved with the transliterations, checking on tunes, finding out more. And, the unpublished Ginans are the ones that we are putting together are evidence-based. So, they have to be in a proper manuscript with a proper attribution, etc. And I think there is a few unpublished Ginans that are verified at Ginan Central as well. So this collection will be 70 unpublished Ginans and grants. And the idea is to have both the audio and the lyrics. As mentioned before, it is quite a task, quite challenging, but inshallah, slowly but slowly, we will achieve it all together collectively as a team.
Well, I'm sure most of us, a lot of us, are excited about getting our hands on this particular release when it happens. This does what you ended there on lead me nicely onto my next question, which is, and a few people have asked about this. As we look into the future with this work, how do you see this work's importance with carrying forward such an extraordinary tradition, given the rich tapestry of our faith and this being continued? What do you think are going to be the challenges, and how do you think we can overcome them, especially when you think of language and the meaning of Ginans that is becoming so much more opaque?
Yeah, so at the present time, there is many resources available, some organized, some not so organized. There is, many YouTube channels that people have put up with their recitations. There is Jolly Good Radio, which plays, 24/7. And they just play the Ginan tracks that have already been established. There is the Heritage Society, which has so many manuscripts. There is the Professor Asani's Indic collection at Harvard University, which has all these manuscripts. Then, of course, there's Ginan Central, and there's other sites which have Ginans, recitals, lyrics, etc. The challenge is that there is very many individuals who have in their fold probably a lot of work they have done, but they have not made it available, or it's not accessible to the general audience. So I think, if people work together and complement each other and have things online or accessible on an organized fashion, an indexed fashion, then I think we can leave behind a lot for the future generation.
Here, I would say that's a wonderful message for everyone, and probably a nice call to action for everyone to think of collaboration as the key to continuing this effort that you've pioneered amongst your other fellow volunteers. In terms of looking at questions coming in from the viewers, I'm just looking to see if there are any particular questions that we've got. One that's popped up is in respect of certain Ginans, the perception being that they're perhaps banned from certain geographical areas. The question that we've got is, who would have the authority to ban these Ginans, if there is any light that you can throw on that?
I've heard the same phrase that such and such a Ginan is banned, or the Imam has, the authority of the peers has banned it, but I really have not seen any evidence or any proof of things being banned. Like, it's hearsay. Somebody says that, yeah, this one is banned. So I guess that's all I can say about it.
Sure. And revisiting what you mentioned about how Ulna in particular sort of thinks about the rags. Another question that we've got is, how do you work out what rag to apply to unpublished Ginans? And I think you did touch on this when you were previously explaining it, but I think some viewers may have missed it.
Yeah. So, basically, it's not totally guesswork. There is some methodology. It might not be the correct rag, but for the moment, that's the best we know. So what somebody like Alnur does is he looks at the lyrics or the script and sees that each verse, does it have 2 lines, 3 lines, 4 lines? So then there is a comparison to other Ginans which have similar number of lines per verse, excuse me. And he looks at the theme of the Ginans, a joyful Ginan is recited with a joyful tune or a joyful rag. And the other thing he looks at is, the time period which Pir had composed that Ginan. And sometimes, a certain Pir has, the Ginans composed by certain Pirs have a tendency of certain rags. And then what we do is, after he puts a rag, for example, the one that he recited, he put the rag of Dilna Daga Bande, which is, non-Ginan. It's a published Ginan. And I think he took pains to use his harmonium and see if the notes fit and stuff like that. And then we ran it by a few people, and every once in a while, when we run it by people, somebody says, I have heard this before, and this is how the tune goes. And that's very helpful because, a lot of us haven't heard many of the unpublished Ginans. There is some common unpublished Ginans that we do here, like Jag Banda, More Saheb Surban, and a few others that are starting to be common. But the one that Ulna recited, I doubt that, anybody has heard it except today, a lot of people today. And I think he's recited in Jamaat Khana once, I believe, just 3 verses. And that was at a time that probably there wasn't too much attendance. So that's what I would say about how the ragas come by.
It's interesting to hear your challenges with specifically identifying the rags and agreeing what the rag should be. A question that's come up amongst our younger viewers today is, how do you see the continuation of the tradition of Ginans moving forward with more and more younger generations who are not equipped with our languages from this particular sphere? They may not understand Gujarati, they may not have learnt certain Ginans or the language and the meaning of those Ginans.
Yeah, so that's why those who can should, make more resources available for the younger generation. They need the lyrics in English, and now there is lots of Ginans transliterated into English, definitely over 700 or so. So they have that available to them. It's available on many different platforms, but again, if you go to Ginan Central for each Ginan in the Commons, there is the lyrics available. The understanding of the Ginans, myself, I do not understand all these languages that I've been recording. Every once in a while, as I sit listening when they are recording, some words just jump at me, and some advices just come to me. But I don't understand the total Ginan in entirety. But there is people who've done some translation work, like one that I know of is Karim Merali from Calgary. And I think some of his translations are available on different platforms, but I can't remember, but I think they're also available at Ginan Central, the gists of the Ginan and things like that. But in addition, I think to just having the materials, I think we need teachers. We need people who will motivate these young people and also give them the opportunity to be the people recording and reciting, and maybe we can move forward that way.
Thank you, Arzina. And I think if that was a nudge towards ASG, then they're here, they're listening. So that's noted. We could go on speaking, I feel, for many hours. I don't think an hour is sufficient to cover 30 years of work in this diligent way that you've done. But unfortunately, as I say, all good things do come to a close. We will be wrapping up now. But before we do, let me just say a warm thank you, Arzina, first of all, to yourself. It's wonderful to have had you join us today and to hear about your extensive effort over the last 30 years. On behalf of ASG, would like to really thank you for sharing so much of what you have done and commend you on the effort that you're putting and continue to do so with your army of volunteers globally who are supporting you with this. And then our reciters who have warmed our hearts and the rooms we're in all around the world with your melodious voices in the renditions you've brought to us. Thank you so, so much. And the viewers who've joined us from far and wide. I saw through the chat, there's viewers joining us from North America, from Europe, from the UK. It's wonderful that you've all been able to attend and join us. As we know, all good things do come to an end, and I'm sorry if we haven't been able to answer all questions. But if you would like to keep in touch with ASG, we do have various social media platforms you can join us on. Altaf, if you could be so kind to share the next slide, where we'll share with you our link to YouTube, to Facebook, and also to our website. If you want to use your phones, you can scan the QR code. It will take you straight to the ASG website where you can subscribe and stay in touch with us. The Facebook page, Association for the Study of Ginans, is what you need to look for on Facebook. And then you've got the YouTube handle there as well, if you'd like to reach out to us there. It's an absolute pleasure to be your host this morning, whichever time zone you're in. Thank you so much. Safe journey back, and Khuda Hafiz.